from the ends of the earth to the ends of the sky. If you remember, in Jesus' time, they thought of the universe as having three parts. They had the earth and what was under it. They had what was on top of the earth where we walk around. And they have what's in the sky. The heavens above, the birds of the air. And so what Jesus seems to be saying to me anyway is not only will they come from four directions, it'll be every living thing. And it sounds like incarnation. Like life is good. Like creation is good. Like by the very fact that Jesus shared our human existence, we must be okay. And not just us, but the people to the north and the south and the east and the west. And then he goes on to a fig tree analogy, which escapes us absolutely because none of us, well, most of us at least, maybe even all of us, haven't had the experience of seeing a fig tree. What if it's a maple tree? When its branch becomes tender and sprout leaves, you know that summer is here. Or is near, rather. In the same way, when you see these magnificent things happening, know that he is near. At the gates, Jesus. I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have taken place. Which led people to say, Jesus is coming back real soon. And if you read the New Testament, Paul thought that. James thought that. All the epistles, they thought Jesus is coming. Just like the guy with the station wagon on Wisconsin Avenue. And for 2,000 years, they thought Jesus is coming. And every once in a while, Jesus is coming soon and we know exactly when. And I guess the advantage of saying that is that sooner or later, one of them's going to be right. Current thought is 2012, the Mayan calendar ended. Maybe they ran out of leaves to write on. I don't know. Or maybe it's a true statement. Maybe he did come again before that generation had ended. And maybe he comes again in our generation and in every generation. He comes again every time a child is born. He comes again every time human beings enter into relationship, no matter the nature of the relationship. Acquaintances, friendship. Once that exchange happens, he's there. Conservative folks like to point out that whenever 2 or 3 are gathered in Jesus' name, he's there. And I agree. But they like to talk about it as it happens when there's worship and when they're gathering to talk about Jesus. But maybe it happens anytime 2 people are together. Maybe it happens anytime our lives move away from this cognitive, massive skulls that some of us have, or the average size skulls that most of us have. They carry 25% of our body weight, but I would venture 95% of our attention. Maybe once we come out of here and move into our hearts and are touched, whether that's by a pet, a book, a movie, maybe even a television show. Struggle with that one. Because if you stop and think about it, everything we encounter involves somebody else, even when it doesn't seem to. If I pick up a book and read it, I'm entering into a relationship with the author that wrote it. If I go to see a movie, obviously I'm being touched by what the art that was made there. Maybe Jesus comes again and again and again and again in ways that are not nearly as dramatic as levitating out of the skies with angels and armies and all that. Maybe Jesus comes again nearly every moment of every day. In relationship, in acts of compassion and charity. When the Boy Scout helps the little old lady across the street, Jesus comes again. And so maybe those people aren't wrong. And maybe as we approach this Advent, which has a dual focus, Advent worries about the birth of Jesus, remembering the birth of Jesus, and Jesus coming again. The $5 word for that is, the study of that is eschatology. The eschaton being the Greek word for the end times. Advent looks at Jesus' birthday, Jesus coming again, and I want to say this Advent, we should look at how Jesus comes again every day in our lives. When a kindness is extended, when a concern is expressed, when people are born, as people live, even when people die. And we don't have to look for the spectacular. Or maybe we should realize just how spectacular the everyday really is.